For the coming year, I think the budget problems have largely been resolved. The government's made available about £250 million for increased learner numbers, and that should solve things. And the year after, there's an extra £400 million that should do things then. Local authorities take control from 2010-11, but I think little will change in the first year because they will find their feet. Change will come the following year, when I think there could be a potentially increased emphasis on local students rather than out of area that colleges have. And maybe the funding systems will basically diverge away from the adults and maybe perhaps go nearer the 11 to 16 funding system that schools currently have. Well, similar to Train to Gain, a lot of money was made available for capital, but it was slow to take off. And about 18 months ago, the LSC and the government made a lot of efforts to increase people wanting to bid for capital. And in fact, a number of projects put forward were deemed to be not ambitious enough and were extended. When people saw new buildings come in from other colleges, it took off. The Foster report called it a tsunami, and projects came in like no one's business. And the LSE was clearly slow to respond to that and scale down expectations. We're now in a situation where extra money has been made available, both from the Denham Review in early March and also from the budget of last week. £300 million extra in the CSR period, with another £300 million a year thereafter. But it's the tip of the iceberg. It's nowhere near what's needed. Projects will be now done on merit, not first come, first served. And I think a lot of expectations are going to be disappointed because the money isn't there available. And this will, of course, have a detrimental effect on those colleges that don't get the money, and maybe student numbers will go down. Well, the budget is now very tight for Train to Gain. Last year, the budget was grossly underspent and it didn't take off at all. And that was the case in the autumn of this academic year, where the number of learners starting were just not enough. The LSC and the government made available some flexibilities where extra things were funded and the rules were slackened. And that, since Christmas, it's basically been a huge increase in the number of learners on Train to Gain, to the extent that the money is running out. A number of providers have had their contracts reduced, and it will get worse next year. Even though there's extra money, a lot of learners who carry over into next year will take up a lot of the money, meaning there's got to be a reduction in starts. It's a shame, but really we've got to live within our budgets.